Welcome back. For a while now, the UK government has been working with Nigeria in the fight against irregular migration. The British Deputy High Commission held a reception some time ago in Lagos on the cooperation against human trafficking and modern slavery.
The reception was put together by the British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria in honor of the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, the DG of NAPTIP, the Oba of Benin, and Dr. May Ekiora and other stakeholders. Before the speeches is the presentation of 2 buses to the Lagos and Edo State Zonal Commander of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons by the UK's Joint Border Task Force. They will be used in the transportation of returnees to Lagos and Edo State. Trafficking in persons has been a major issue in Nigeria, with the promise of a better life being the major pull. But the process of getting people across is riddled with sex, lies and black magic, as portrayed in a documentary shown at the reception.
She should come and she will make her prayer by herself.
The British Deputy High Commissioner reiterates the personal commitment of the Prime Minister to do more to tackle the issue of irregular migration.
Our immigration enforcement officers have trained members of the Edo State Task Force on victim identification to help with their programs of prevention and rehabilitation. Our Department for International Development, Livelihoods and Income project working across the Delta, including Edo, have been redesigned to target potential victims of trafficking and to help provide the types of aspirational livelihoods that can compete with the false international promise provided by the traffickers. The Department for International Development in particular is finalizing the design of substantial new programming to address modern slavery.
The Edo State Governor, while recalling the strong resistance it encountered on the issue, promised he would continue to work towards eradicating the scourge of human trafficking.
We as a government in Edo are very concerned. We're doing all we can to discourage human trafficking. And for those victims of human trafficking, those who have been trafficked and are, returning home, we are ensuring that we have taken steps to receive them properly, rehumanize them, reintegrate them into our society, and ensure that they are not re-trafficked.
According to NAPTIP, 342 people have been convicted for human trafficking since the Trafficking in Persons Enforcement and Administration Act was enacted in 2015.
And now here are other discussions in diplomatic circles. The U.S. has formally opened its embassy in Jerusalem, with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on hand to welcome delegates who came to witness the event. However, most foreign envoys were absent. Among the U.S. delegation to the event were the U.S. President's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner, his wife and White House advisor Ivanka Trump, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. The embassy move was driven by President Donald Trump and comes less than 6 months after his decision last year to break with decades of U.S. policy and recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Trump says his decision, which breaks with decades of American policy, made good on U.S. legislation and presidential pledges dating back decades. Meanwhile, Palestinians have been protesting in the West Bank city of Bethlehem against the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Israeli security forces fired stun and smoke grenades at demonstrators who burnt tires and marched towards the barrier separating the West Bank and Israel. Border protests in Gaza and across the West Bank are expected to continue even after the embassy reopens, especially on Monday, which is the 70th anniversary of Israel's founding and the day Palestinians call the Nakba or catastrophe, marking the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and the conflict surrounding the creation of Israel in 1948. 16 Palestinians were killed along the Gaza frontier, according to Palestinian health officials, raising the death toll to 61 killed in such protests since March 30. There have been no reports of Israeli casualties. The death toll has drawn international criticism, but the United States, which has drawn Arab anger by relocating its embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, has echoed Israel in accusing Gaza's ruling Hamas movement of instigating violence. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says he is hopeful that the U.S. could strike a deal with its European allies regarding Iran's nuclear program. He also said the U.S. decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal was not aimed at the Europeans. So far, China, France, Russia, the UK, EU and Iran are remaining in the accord, minus the United States. Judicial sources in France say an attacker who stabbed and killed a 29-year-old in central Paris on Saturday night was a naturalized Frenchman born in Russia's Chechnya region in 1997. The attack took place in the busy Opera district, known for its many restaurants, cafes and Palais Garnier Opera. It was one of a succession in France in which more than 240 people have died since January 2015, keeping the country on high alert. The 21-year-old assailant had been categorized as a Fish S since 2016, a designation officials use to flag people who may be a threat to national security. He became French when his mother obtained citizenship in 2010. The UK's MI5 chief Andrew Parker has warned of continued threat of attacks on Britain from Russia and the Islamic State. Addressing the public for the first time in Berlin since the attempted murder of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in Salisbury in March, Parker said the incident was a deliberate and targeted malign activity that risks Russia becoming a more isolated pariah in the international community. He also accused the Russian government of being in flagrant breach of international rules and said it is guilty of pursuing aggressive and pernicious action by its military and intelligence services. He then condemned what he called the unprecedented level of Russia's disinformation following the attack, with the need to shine a light through the fog of lies, half-truths and obfuscation that pours out of their propaganda machine.
It may therefore come as a surprise to you when I say that I'm confident about our ability to tackle these new shapes of threat. I'm confident because of the commitment, talent and skill of the people working against these threats. I'm confident because of the strength and resilience of our democratic systems, and the resilience of our societies and the support of the public. I'm also confident because of the robust framework of law, oversight, transparency and accountability that UK agencies work within, and the values that we share with our European partners.
Finally, South Korea says it welcomes the North's schedule to dismantle its nuclear site ahead of a historic meeting between the North and the United States. According to a spokesman for the South Korean government, it showed the North was willing to keep its promise made at the Inter-Korean summit through action beyond words. North Korea has scheduled the dismantlement of its nuclear bomb test site for some time between May 23rd and 25th in order to uphold its pledge to discontinue nuclear tests. That's the program this week. I'm glad you could join us. Just a reminder that previous editions of Diplomatic Channel and this edition can be watched on the Channels TV website and on youtube.com/channelsweb. I'd love to read from you, so tweet at Amarachi_Ubani, at Channels TV and at Diplomatic Chan. I'll see you next time.